Symbols in Medicine, written and narrated by Carl R. Boyd. A symbol is a thing that represents or stands for something else, especially a material object representing something abstract. Here's a symbol we all know, the symbol of the United States of America. The 13 stripes represent the original 13 colonies. The red symbolizes valor and bravery, and the white indicates purity. Each star represents a state on a field of blue, which stands for justice. In South Carolina, we see this symbol everywhere and in every day. The original South Carolina flag was adopted in 1775. The crescent symbol represents the silver emblem worn on the caps of the South Carolina troops during the Revolutionary War. It is not the moon. The crescent represents the gorget, a metal piece of armor worn to protect the soldier's throat. The background color matches the blue of their uniforms. The palmetto tree was added in 1861 and symbolizes Colonel Moultrie's heroic defense of the fort on Sullivan's Island at the entrance of Charleston Harbor against the attack of the British fleet on June 28, 1776. The fort was constructed of palmetto logs, which were able to absorb the impact of the British cannonballs. So let's look at some symbols of medicine. What is the symbol of medicine? Is it the caduceus or the staff of Asclepius? Asclepius was the Greek god of medicine. A beautiful mortal girl named Coronis became pregnant by the god Apollo. Coronis was then unfaithful to Apollo, so Apollo's sister Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, killed Coronis with her bow and arrow. But before Coronis died, Apollo came down and cut his unborn son from her womb, giving him his name Asclepius, meaning to cut. Asclepius grew to become a great healer and had a daughter named Hygeia, or the goddess of health, another daughter named Panacea, meaning universal cure, and two sons who were battle surgeons. Asclepius became a great healer, so good in fact that Zeus's brother Hades, the god of the underworld, complained that not enough people were dying. He asked Zeus to kill Asclepius. Using his mighty thunderbolt, Zeus did as Hades asked. However, the fates raised him to Mount Olympus, and he was deified as the Greek god of medicine. Worshippers of Asclepius believed the snake to be a sign of rebirth, regeneration, and healing. The symbol of Asclepius is a single serpent wrapped around a staff. The caduceus. Most believe the caduceus is the symbol of medicine. The caduceus is from the Latin meaning the herald's wand, and the caduceator is a non-combatant messenger of peace. The caduceus is the symbol of the wing-footed Hermes, the Greek god of commerce, not medicine. His wand is a single winged staff of an olive branch with two serpents coiled around it. It is a symbol of peace. Essentially, every nation's military medical corps uses the staff of Asclepius as their symbol. A Swiss printer of medical books, Johann Froben, used the caduceus as part of his frontispiece crest, perhaps as a symbol of neutrality. Somehow, the United States military adopted the use of the caduceus for the medical corps in 1902. Its use as a symbol of medicine in the United States has become commonplace. It's used in the seal of many medical societies, including nursing, physician's assistants, CRNAs, and others. The seal of the American College of Surgeons. In 1915, the first director of the College of Surgeons, Dr. John Bowman, authorized a competition among Chicago artists to develop the symbolic seal for the college. The prize result has been in use ever since, without change. The Latin phrase translates, to serve all and with skill and fidelity. Asclepius, the Greek god of healing with his staff, and an American Indian medicine man are seated beneath the tree of knowledge, making offering of their symbols of healing and common service to mankind. The symbol of the American Dental Association utilizes the staff of Asclepius, surrounded by the Greek letters Omicron from the Greek odont for tooth and delta for dentistry. There are 32 leaves representing the permanent teeth and 20 berries representing the baby teeth. Hygeia was the daughter of Asclepius, the Greek god of medicine. She attended the temple of Asclepius. When the snakes in the temple appeared dead, they would drink from her bowl and become alive. The bowl of Hygeia represents a medicinal portion, and the snake represents a healing as a symbol of pharmacy. Another symbol associated with pharmacy are the letters RX. RX is an abbreviation of the Latin recipe, meaning take thus. Ancient prescriptions began with the command to take the ingredients of a concoction in a specified manner. The X indicates abbreviation, as in SX for symptoms and DX for diagnosis. The symbol of the Red Cross is well known and easily recognized. Henry Durand of Switzerland was the founder of the International Red Cross. During the Battle of Solferino and the War for Italian independence, there were more than 40,000 killed or injured soldiers. Henry Durand, a Swiss businessman and humanitarian, was on a business trip and witnessed the aftermath of the battle and organized a civilian population to care for the wounded in a makeshift hospital. He went on to found the International Red Cross and received the Nobel Peace Prize. The familiar red cross on a white background is the inverse of the Swiss flag and was done to honor Durand. The founder of the American Red Cross was Clara Barton. She was a school teacher and then worked in government office at the start of the Civil War. She took supplies and nursing care to soldiers of the Civil War. She gave assistance to the development of hospitals in the Franco-Prussian War in Europe. Returning to the U.S., she convinced President Arthur that an American Red Cross could respond not only to war, but natural disasters. The Red Cross represents medical care by non-combatants. Originally in the U.S., ambulances were marked with an orange cross. In 1973, the Red Cross organization complained that it too closely resembled their symbol. So, in the 1970s, Leo Schwartz, the chief of the EMS branch of NHTSA, came up with a symbol to replace the orange cross. The Star of Life is the symbol seen on every ambulance throughout the world. The Star of Life is a blue six-pointed star outlined by a white border. The staff of Asclepius represents healing and regeneration. The 6 branches of the star represent the 6 main tasks executed by rescuers all through the emergency chain: detection, reporting, response, on-scene care, care in transit, and transfer to definitive care. The Star of Life is used throughout the world. However, in Muslim Middle Eastern countries, the Red Crescent is used on ambulances, and in Israel, the Star of David is used. It's hard to imagine that the barber pole is a symbol of medicine, but listen to the story. In ancient times, disease was felt to be from an imbalance in the 4 humors: blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. One way to restore the balance was the practice of bloodletting. In the monasteries, bloodletting was done by the monks. However, in the 12th century, the Pope declared that monks could no longer do bloodletting or surgical procedures, and the local barber became responsible for bloodletting. A pole outside his place of work identified him as a barber and a bloodletter. The pole represents the staff that the patient held during the bloodletting. The red stripe represents the blood, and the cup on the top of the pole was used to hold leeches to assist with the bloodletting if they were needed. The cup at the bottom was used to catch the blood. So now, when you see the barber's pole, you may well think of bloodletting and not hair cutting. Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci is the most reproduced drawing in the history of art. Although not a symbol of medicine per se, it's used on the cover and frontispieces in many medical texts and in many medically related company and organizational logos. Vitruvius was a Roman architect and a Pythagorean. Vitruvius was interested in the golden ratio as it applied to the human body. The ratio comes from the Fibonacci numbers that form the Fibonacci sequence, in which each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones. 2 quantities are in the golden ratio if their ratio, the larger divided by the smaller, is the same as the ratio of their sum to the larger of the 2 quantities. For example, 2 plus 3 equals 5, and 5 divided by 3 equals 1.6. 3 plus 5 equals 8, and 8 divided by 5 equals 1.6, and so on and so on. So if a line is divided into 2 parts, and the long length divided by the short length is the same ratio as the whole length divided by the long length, that ratio is 1.618. It's that ratio that is the most pleasing to the human eye and sensibility. There are many examples of this ratio in nature, including the spirals of a nautilus shell, the number of seeds in a sunflower, the number of flower petals, the rings of a pine cone, and in human anatomy. Other examples of the golden ratio include the Parthenon, Mona Lisa's face, the CN Tower in Toronto, and even the credit card in your wallet. All have a ratio of 1.618. Vitruvian Man demonstrates the golden ratio in human anatomy and the humanistic view of man's divine connection to the universe. The distance from the shoulder to the elbow and from the elbow to the fingertips has a ratio of 1.618. The distance from the top of the head to the umbilicus and from the umbilicus to the feet has the ratio of 1.618. One last point about Vitruvian Man. Why does he have 4 arms and 4 legs? The pose with the arms straight out and the feet together is seen to be inscribed by the superimposed square. On the other hand, the spread eagle pose is seen to be inscribed by the superimposed circle. The umbilicus is the exact center of the circle, which denotes spirituality, and the pubis is the exact center of the square, denoting the secular. So the symbols of medicine represent interesting stories and people in mythology, science, and history.